Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Life Positive Show. Tonight, we have a very special guest with us. She is none other than Dr. Trupti Jain, who needs no introduction. She is known the world over for her past life regression therapies. She is known very well in India for her show called Ras Pisli Janamka, which was aired in 2010 and which had made great waves all across. So, Dr. Jain is also the founder of Setu, an organization that facilitates inner learning. She also practices NLP, spiritual numerology, and transactional analysis. She has been working with ADAPT, the Spastic Society of India, since 1984, developing various psychometric tools for challenged children. So, welcome to the Life Positive Show, Dr. Trupti. It gives me great pleasure to see you tonight. And
Thank you.
all our readers are very fond of you and are looking forward to listening to you to this conversation tonight. So, Dr. Jain, please tell us how you stumbled upon the therapy of past life regression and what has been your journey in life so far.
So, when you use the word stumbled, it means accidentally.
Correct.
So that's exactly what happened in my life. It was an accidental stumbling that took place. I used to work in a mental health facility, and I used to see patients like having phobia and OCD and schizophrenia, depression. So this happened 22 years ago. So a young girl came to see me who had OCD, who had obsessive thinking, which was related to something that she was disturbed about because it was to do having sex with God. So she had this obsessive thought and she was going to get married. So she was worried that, if I have this obsessive thought, how will my kind of marital life be? So during a session of just hypnosis, she actually went so deep into trance that she started experiencing a memory uh, which she was unaware of, and nor was I aware of it because she had never experienced this in this lifetime. So that's when my first experience of a patient having past life therapy experience really came up. So after the session was over, I was wondering, like, what was all this? Because at that time I wasn't trained in doing a past life session. So the session got over, and she was sweating profusely, and she was shouting during the session. After that, she asked me, "Ma'am, what was all this?" So I said, maybe it was just a deep-rooted memory, and it's come out. So maybe it'll get you better. But I thought the session was a failure. But interestingly, she gave me a call 2 weeks later and she said she's absolutely fine. The thoughts have just disappeared. So I was like, how did this happen? And that's when my search into the world of past life therapy began. And I felt that definitely there was a doorway that had opened for me and I needed to probe further. And then I think just a year later, my father passed away. And I had a midnight visitation from him, which again was very surreal for me because I'd never experienced something like this before. And that's what moved me, to finding out more about the higher dimensions that existed. So these two experiences, which were accidental in a way, um, they just
Pave the
changed my
way.
perceptive. Yeah, I just changed my entire perception of life after
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. So, what has been your greatest learning through all the PLR sessions that you've undertaken so far, which you've facilitated so far? What has been your realization about the human condition?
Well, the
What
first
clicked
thing
us
is,
the most?
yeah, sorry. The first thing is that, you have to scrape the surface if you have to go deeper. That's the first realization. As a psychologist, we work in a very kind of cognitive framework. We just try and look at thoughts and emotions and beliefs. But there is something deeper that is related to our spirit. So I did realize that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. I mean, that is the truth. I also realized that, death is the biggest myth that is circulating around because when you do a past life session, you realize that there is no death. The soul can never die.
mm,
And the art of dying needs to be taught along with the art of living.
mm,
I really believe that now. And
mm,
also that we haven't really lived as humans all
mm,
the time. In all our incarnations, we have
mm,
had animal bodies and plant bodies and even stones and mountains for that matter. We have had experiences
mm,
in all these realms, which
mm,
is something that I realized, that why are we so stuck with being humans and so proud of being humans,
mm,
because we've had other experiences also. And the other thing is the theory of karma. It is true.
mm,
It is true that as we sow, so shall we reap. I mean,
mm,
this is something that a past life therapist will understand
mm,
as the person starts working further, and humanity divided on lines of culture and religion and caste
mm,
just uh, just kind of vaporizes, Shivi,
mm, mm,
because you realize that you have been different genders, you have been living in different cultures, you have
mm,
absorbed different kind of religious philosophies. So
mm,
what is the reason for this hate?
mm,
I cannot understand that, and maybe anybody who does a past life session and experiences themselves living in a different religion will
mm,
vouch for this, that
mm,
their um, uh, ability, I mean, their not ability, I'd say that their prejudices will just go away. So
mm,
that's very, very important, and this whole philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is
mm,
true. So a past life therapist understands this perfectly. So there are
mm,
so many insights
mm.
that you develop during this
Okay.
process.
So as we grow up, Dr. Jain, we are often taught that it's a matter of great fortune to be born in a human body. It's only because of your bad karma do you get to born in an animal body, which is a form of a punishment, and it takes much longer, like 84 lakh incarnations to get this body. So is
Yeah.
this a myth which has been perpetuated over the years, or is it a fact? And if so, then really, what are the advantages of being a human as against being an animal or a plant or an inanimate life form?
We have to understand one thing, that the soul is not the body.
Hmm.
So that's the first understanding. So if the soul is not a body and it's just energy,
Hmm.
then energy can um, percolate or penetrate
Hmm.
any body,
Hmm. Hmm.
any physical form, right? So
Hmm.
it can be a plant, an animal, a human, anything.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, karma plays a very important role in all this.
Hmm.
So your basal emotions like violence, like
Hmm.
anger, disgust,
Hmm.
jealousy, these
Hmm.
basal emotions
Hmm.
have to be experienced.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, I have to experience all these emotions. It's not only I
Hmm.
have to experience only being kind and benevolent and loving, right?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
all these navarasas make who I am.
Hmm.
And it helps me to grow as a person. It helps me to recognize if somebody is upset, or somebody is angry, or somebody is worried. If I don't experience an emotion of anger, how would
Hmm.
I know somebody is angry? It's not
Hmm.
possible, right? I have
Hmm.
no experience of it.
Hmm.
So when you experience lifetimes in these non-human forms,
Hmm.
you experience these basic emotions,
Hmm. Hmm.
what we call kind of primal emotions.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when you experience them, you understand these emotions better.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so when you enter a human body, you're able to recognize these emotions.
Hmm.
And slowly, over your human incarnations, you learn to work with them.
Hmm.
You learn to work with these various vasanas, as they call them,
Hmm.
right? Or
Hmm.
the kind of kleshas.
Hmm.
So it's important to experience yourself in non human forms,
Hmm.
because they have they have a denser experience,
Hmm. Hmm.
so these dense emotions are also required. It's like polarity.
Hmm. Hmm.
I have to experience the good, but I also have to experience the bad. The
Hmm.
bad is not the bad actually,
Hmm.
but it's just another experience for me to understand.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's like, when I get pulled in two different directions, will I be able to understand balance?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
to understand balance, I have to have experience in different forms.
Hmm.
So this
Okay.
is very important. The other thing, Shivi, I've realized over the work is that a lot of sicknesses, like let's say sticky sicknesses, which don't seem to go away,
Hmm.
asthma,
Hmm.
a person who has asthma or migraine or rash or cough and cold and stuff like
Hmm.
that, I mean, the doctor can give you some medicine, but again, it's going to come to you,
Hmm. Hmm.
indicating that this illness or this sickness is so deep rooted that this could be coming from a non-human lifetime. So I give you an example, of a woman who had a sneezing problem,
Hmm. Hmm.
and she saw herself in a boulder, not as a boulder, but in a boulder, because the
Hmm.
soul is not the object, right?
Hmm.
And this boulder was in a river on which, the cold water of the river was flowing on the boulder.
Hmm.
And during the whole experience of about an hour, she was sneezing
Hmm.
because the experience of coldness
Hmm.
was being was being felt by her.
Hmm.
And when I guided her to say, okay, maybe the experience is over and you need to leave the boulder,
Hmm.
you will not believe, but the sneezing stopped and she's never had the sneezing again,
Hmm. Hmm.
indicating that we do have these experiences
Hmm.
where we enter non-human forms
Hmm.
and we learn something from it. See, it's not a punishment,
Hmm.
This whole idea about a lifetime in an animal body is punishment.
Hmm.
It could be, it could
Hmm.
be, but then that is also karmic,
Hmm.
where you have chosen it,
Hmm.
you know. But basically, it's an experience that you're having. We are filled with experiences.
Hmm.
Our
But these are
conscious.
very tough experiences, Dr. Trupti, because in the human form, we have much more freedom to alleviate our suffering or a condition if we want to and if we are really serious about it. Now, if somebody is experiencing a life in a boulder or in a rock or in a tree, that's a very limiting experience. You can experience the suffering, perhaps you can even experience a pleasure, but then you're so helpless to change your situation. You cannot kind of move about or seek help or do any form of sadhana to overcome this experience or get better. So
So,
I do feel that can be a very limiting as well as a very difficult experience chosen by any soul to undergo.
so
So
Shivi,
ji,
let me tell you, it is not a limiting experience.
okay.
Up, it's an uplifting experience. Let me
Wow.
share one of my past lives as a tree, which I have
Okay.
experienced.
Oh my.
And the learning that I had from that lifetime is when you are helpless, help. It was the deepest learning that I had, that when you are helpless, the only way out is to help others.
Hmm.
Now, who can give me this experience? A human lifetime maybe cannot give me this experience. But a plant lifetime, a tree lifetime, where the tree has been chopped away and all the birds have flown away, and now I have been reduced to logs of wood.
Hmm.
And what is the point now of staying in this tree, right?
Hmm.
And I could feel the pain when the tree was being chopped. I
Hmm.
experienced that pain. And then when my consciousness left the tree, I could hear the sound of my spiritual guide when I asked, what is the learning in this? And
Hmm.
the spiritual guide told me that in helplessness, help. That's your learning. So, in this human body, that's what I have done in my life. I've helped whenever I felt helpless. A helpless person came into my life and I helped that person. And I learned how to cope not only with my helplessness,
Correct.
but with the helplessness of what my patient felt. So these non-human lifetimes can give you a lot of insight. But obviously the session has to be guided so
Hmm.
that the person gets the right insight.
Great. I do remember Dr. Jain meeting somebody, a great spiritual master, who told me something very similar. She said that you people consider your life form as the highest. You don't even know the extent of sacrifice which the non-human forms they do just to maintain your life. Do you even realize that the cup that you're holding in your hand, which is filled with hot tea, it is experiencing that hotness, it is experiencing that heat, yet it is letting you drink through it, and it is not kind of falling apart or breaking into pieces just to resist that heat. Same
Yes.
as with so many other things in your life, you don't even know. So they all have that consciousness of experiencing pain or pleasure or any other emotion. Only thing is that they do not resist as much as humans do. So that's a huge misconception that humans have, that they are a higher life form. It's not so. So is it true, Dr. Jain,
They
according to
are, yeah, absolutely. I think humans, an experience of being an ant would be a lot of hard work. An
Hmm.
experience of being a python would be laziness. An experience of being a tree would be to be giving, because whatever I have, people are going to take it away from me, right? So
Right.
look at the loving, kind emotions that these non-human forms have. And when you experience that, it gets kind of embodied in you.
Hmm.
It's very important to experience this. Human beings have what we call an ego.
Hmm.
This ego is the problem, actually, that I am doing it. The basically human beings suffer because they have what we call doership.
Hmm.
I have done this. I am very intelligent and I am very clever and I am very pretty. This doership is what has destroyed humankind.
Hmm.
So otherwise, I don't think we are that intelligent. Just because we can read doesn't mean that we are intelligent.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Of late, there have been studies that if dolphins are much more intelligent than human beings, and their brain size is kind of much larger, and they have certain portions in the brain which are missing in humans. Only thing is that since they don't kind of exhibit their intelligence in the form of technology or any other way, so you feel that they are inferior beings. No, they're much more sync with the universe than human beings are. They're so cut off from their own reality. So
see,
that
you
was a
need to
great
understand, Shivi, just to add to this, what you said,
correct.
our vision is 6 by 6, right?
Hmm.
But there are dogs who
Hmm.
can see further than 6 by 6, I'm sure. Or there are other creatures in this world who can see beyond what we can see. Bats, for that matter, can hear things beyond 20,000 frequency,
Hmm.
hertz. We cannot. So
Hmm.
we are actually limited people, very
Hmm.
limited. Human beings are very limited human beings.
Hmm.
I
So
was reading
yeah.
somewhere that there is
Yeah.
a flower called the Susan flower or something,
Hmm.
and a butterfly or a
Hmm.
bee can see spots on that flower that the human eye cannot see. And they come to know from that how much of nectar the flower has. I mean, do we have that sensibility or sensitivity? No, we don't. So we
Hmm.
are very limited people. I always tell people that
Hmm.
human beings expect love from another human being. But a limited human being cannot give love to another limited human being. You can only have limited love.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
this whole concept of having unlimited love, unlimited things from a human being,
Hmm.
a normal human being, I'm talking about, okay? So, you have to work on yourself. That is why the word evolve is related to humans. It's
Hmm.
not related to plants, no? We will not say that plants evolve.
Hmm.
Human beings evolve, indicating that we are not evolved.
We are not evolved. That's so
So
true. So,
obviously,
but it is also said, Dr. Jain, that we are blessed with that so the vertebral column, or that nadi, which can take us to the state of self-realization if we
yeah.
apply ourselves to it, which is not present in other vertebrates, which cannot sit straight or keep their spine erect. So is it true that this is the only advantage we have over other life forms, that if we really decide, then we can really know ourselves in much better way than any other life form can, which is our oneness with the
I
entire
I think
existence.
a soul has taken this birth in a human body
Hmm.
because it has passed through so many different experiences, and it
Hmm.
has realized now that there is more than
Hmm.
just having an experience of in a body. There is more that I want to do. This
Hmm.
desire has got us into a human form.
Hmm.
And so now that we have a human body, we have to respect it. And
Hmm.
not only that, we have to respect others also, other forms also. And now we have the chance to evolve. We have the chance to raise our raise our vibration. We have the
Hmm.
chance to become more kind, more
Hmm.
divine, more benevolent, more giving. We
Hmm.
have the chance to now think of others than ourselves.
Right.
As a animal, We will
mm,
think of ourselves, right? Is my
mm,
breed, my brood,
mm,
right?
mm,
Because we will kill for our cubs.
mm, mm,
We won't kill for somebody else's cubs, right?
mm,
But human beings have the chance to be charitable.
mm,
I mean, that is such a wonderful quality that we can develop. So, this is the reason we have to respect the fact that we have a human form, a human mind.
mm,
We
mm,
have certain qualities, values that we can develop, and we can be of use now to others.
mm,
Not only that our flesh is going to be of use to others,
mm,
but much more
mm.
that we can give
Right.
others.
Okay. So coming back to PLR, Dr. Jain, I also want to know there's a lot of interest in PLR, and most people who may not even be needing PLR, they just want to have a glimpse of it and want to know what they were in their previous lifetimes and what has led to their current situation in this lifetime. So do you think, no, I feel oftentimes that it has become a kind of a pastime or a hobby. Okay, let me go and find out who I was in my past life. So, do your clients run the risk of getting trapped in this the cycle and not coming out of it? Because eventually, it's the present which is the most important thing, and we need to learn how to make the most of the current life and the current time that we have. However, I do see that often people they get lost in those past cycles. They are unable to come out of it. So, what is your take on this? So, is it advisable for people to visit their past lives, or or they should be avoiding it as much as possible because of certain, uh, the hazards or which might be
Yeah.
embedded in it?
See, past life therapy is not comfort food.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
cannot be used for all problems. That's the
Right.
first thing. Second, there are certain contraindications.
Hmm.
Cannot use past life therapy with, let's say, a person who's having schizophrenia because the person is already dissociated.
Hmm.
He's
Hmm. Hmm.
already living in a world of fantasy.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, how can you do a past life session with such a person? She was just going to give you some kind of stories from her own fantasies, can help
Hmm.
because she's anyway hallucinating.
Right. Right.
So, contraindications should be followed. Most therapists are not from the field of psychology or they are not doctors. So
Hmm.
the problem here is that they are doing therapy on clients where it is not required also.
Hmm.
Third, uh, past life therapy is a deep rooted therapy where it is not only the session, Shivi, that matters, it is the
Hmm.
closure of the session that matters.
Hmm.
How are
Hmm.
you closing the session? Second,
Hmm.
how are you integrating the
Hmm.
learnings that you have got from the session in
Hmm.
your present?
Hmm.
Because, like you rightly said, the power lies in the present.
Correct. Correct.
So, how are you working with the past memories in the
Hmm.
present so that your future can be better?
Hmm.
So, the past, the present, and the future is simultaneous.
Hmm.
It's not that the past is separate from the present, right? So, how am I going to integrate all this? This is what a therapist needs to learn. Most important is this.
Hmm.
So, it is not that everybody requires past life therapy. And second and most importantly, I have to say this, is that there are sometimes there are a lot of therapists who give away the audio tape,
Hmm.
like they've recorded the session, let's
Hmm.
say, and the client asks for the recording,
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
therapist gives it to the
Hmm.
client.
Hmm.
Let me tell you, this can lead to a lot of problems. Why? Because the client has a habit of listening to what has been experienced.
Hmm.
Not only that, some clients are so, kind of enthusiastic. They
Hmm.
will get their spouse to listen to it, then their parents to listen to it, then their
Hmm.
other family members to listen to it. And this has happened with one of my client that in a fit of rage and argument,
Hmm.
the husband told the wife, "Arey, tu to aisi thi. From your past life, you are like this." And the argument got worse. So, a therapist needs to understand some ethical principles. The problem is that past life therapy is not being taught in a university.
Hmm.
तो
Hmm.
इसके बहुत सारे pitfalls हैं.
Hmm.
Another thing is that the age and the condition which the client comes. I'll give you an example. A man came to see me, 82-year-old,
mm, mm,
and his son had passed away in an accident.
mm,
And he was kind of crying about the fact that at my age, look at the grief that I have to go through and all that. Anyway, he did a session, he came to know. And after that, he insisted that I give him the recording. Though I told him I'm not going to give you the recording, but he was very difficult. So I said, okay. I said, but you don't have to listen to it.
mm,
But they don't listen, right? So he started listening to the recording. After 1 month, his niece called up and said, my uncle has got depressed due to the past life session.
mm,
So I said, can you tell me if he was listening to the recording? So she said, yes, he's been listening to it every day.
mm,
I said, is it my fault? Please ask your uncle whether he was instructed not to take the tape and not to listen to it. She said, yes, he said that, ma'am ne bola tha not to listen to it, but I wanted to listen. I said, so
mm,
now what do you want me to do? So she said he wants to come and meet you again. I said, okay, ask him to come. So
mm,
when he came, he said that I've got a lot of insight, but I've become very depressed because in his past life, he saw that he was the cause of his son's death in that lifetime. So the guilt that he felt,
mm,
he had completely integrated that guilt in the session. But by continuously listening to that over and over again, every day, that
mm,
memory had unnecessarily become more active and he had got depressed. After
mm,
that, we did another session with him and then he's fine. So this is, see, ethically, a therapist has to work, Shivi.
mm,
Otherwise, I tell you, past life therapy, like you rightly said, can do a lot of harm.
mm, mm,
So it's very important that therapists, because I know therapists are going to listen to this, you
mm,
have to understand that there is a need for you to be trained correctly, to use the training correctly, and have maximum experiences with client. You
mm,
cannot be a therapist and see one client in 1 month and say you're a therapist.
mm,
You have to see that you see a number of clients with a particular kind of problem. Like you have in my practice, I will tell you, if my students see 50 clients who have phobia, then they will learn how to handle phobia. You cannot
mm,
understand by doing one client, right?
mm,
Because
mm,
every client is going to be different.
mm,
So आपका experience ही आपको बनाता है teacher,
mm,
है ना? तो ये बहुत जरूरी है, शिवी. I want to tell
mm,
everybody, you have become a past life therapist. Don't do it as a hobby.
mm,
It's
mm,
not a hobby. Take it up seriously.
mm,
Let people know that you are trained as a past life therapist and go all out,
mm, mm,
and get as much experience that you can get.
mm.
That's what I would tell everyone.
Okay, Dr. Jan, this also brings me to another question. You just told us that uh, through these sessions, you've also learned that human beings have lived in many other bodies, not only in human and different incarnations. Were you able, did you ever come across experience where people have lived in other planets, other dimensions as extraterrestrials? And so, has this actually unraveled that other world to you, and how all of us are interconnected? And what is the level of human consciousness on Earth, or our planet as a whole, and how far we still have to go in terms of our evolution as compared to life on other dimensions? Can you just shed some light on this?
So, as we say that our soul is divine.
Hmm.
So, if our soul is divine, there are so many other dimensions where divinity exists.
Hmm.
And between the earth dimension and the divine dimension, there
Hmm.
are many other dimensions also, because you cannot go from the human straight to becoming divine, right?
Hmm.
So obviously there has to be certain other dimensions also which are there.
Hmm.
Now, yes, as you asked me the question, have people experienced lifetimes in other dimensions, let's
Hmm.
say ETs,
Hmm.
living in some kind of parallel universes?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, people have experienced lifetimes in, like I'll give you an example of a young girl who had migraine.
Hmm.
And during a session, she experienced that she was abducted in a spaceship and she was taken away to another dimension, and she saw these two beings. She couldn't recognize them as being humans. They were they had very thin bodies, rather they were more light bodies rather than physical bodies, and they were inserting a chip in her, and they were getting data from her. So during the session, the chip was removed, and post that, her migraine stopped. Not only that, she had a lot of swelling when she came to see me, and she couldn't digest food very well. And she was like a loner, she couldn't understand human contact very well, like loyalty. Um, even the food that she used to eat would not give her a lot of nutrition. So she obviously was somebody who was belonging to another realm, and she had, by mistake, entered the earth realm. And she was unable to adjust to a human body, is what we realized. But after that session, we did many sessions, we did about 8 sessions with her, because she had many issues. And that was very early on in my work also, where I used to do multiple sessions. Now I don't. But at that time I used to, and every session she got better. And most of these people who come from the other realm eventually get into healing, because they are very powerful as people. Their souls are very powerful. They're able to sense, they're very sensitive, they're able to sense things very quickly. So if somebody comes to them, they can sense their energy very well. So they eventually get into some kind of healing, channeling, because that's very easy for them. They're not able to adjust to the earth realm very well. Over incarnations, because once they've entered the earth realm, they obviously enjoy many other benefits also. So over incarnations, maybe they will start getting adjusted. Many of them have a lot of problems with money, finance, like banking, saving.
Why?
Because in those other realms,
It's
there
not
is
there.
nothing like money transaction.
Okay.
So here it's all about money. Money is power. Yeah. But in those realms, love is power.
Okay.
So they're very loving people. They get attached. They're very affectionate people. So the earthlings who have many incarnations on the earth can easily take advantage of these people. So that is why they kind of live in their own shell, their own cocoon. So all these souls who have either by mistake come to the earth, or they've been pulled for some reason, or they have come here for some experience. The earth is like it's like a, what should I say? It's like a banquet.
Okay.
Like a banquet hall. When you enter this place, you get so enamored and pulled into the
Different
beautiful
directions.
stuff. Yeah, the beautiful stuff that this earth has to offer. From your five senses become corrupted actually.
Okay.
So that's what
Right.
happens here. So yeah, these souls do come in, and there are so many of them here on this earth today.
Dr. Jain, you spoke about removing that chip. So that chip physical in nature, which had to be removed through operation, or you could just
No, so
remove it
how?
simply by.
So how she explained to me was very interesting.
Hmm.
She told me that they are using their fingers. So they
Hmm.
had these fingers, okay, which was like light fingers, but
Hmm.
long fingers,
Hmm.
and these fingers had a lot of um, energy. They
Hmm.
were like kind of lasers.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they would just like do this, and they would just remove it. Now the chip was not a physical chip.
Hmm.
She said, not a physical chip.
Hmm.
It was just like a different vibration,
Hmm.
a different frequency
Hmm.
was there in that chip, and then they removed it. But
Hmm.
she could feel heat. That's
Hmm.
definitely something that she said.
Hmm.
She could feel a lot of heat
Hmm.
when that was happening, when
Hmm.
this operation was being done, or some kind of surgery was being done.
Hmm. Hmm.
And she could feel a lot of heat, and then she felt much better after that. So it was a long session. I can't recall everything of it
Yes.
now. But
Okay.
yeah.
Also, there are certain things which do baffle me, especially when you see people from the LGBTQ community, which is a very I think it's a very difficult experience for anybody to undergo, to be so different from the common law that you find it very challenging to find space and acceptance for yourself, and you're mostly shunted or labeled or condemned in so many ways. Why do souls take up a life form like this, where it's very difficult for them to gel with other people and to face constant discrimination all through their lives? It's very challenging. What would be the reason?
Shivi, whether it's somebody who's experiencing an altered sexuality,
Hmm,
or even somebody who is not experiencing one,
hmm,
you take a life where you are a victim
hmm,
only because you have been a persecutor.
hmm,
So you will not just take a victimhood, no, you will not
hmm,
experience victimhood just like for fun or something, right?
hmm,
So you have been a persecutor,
hmm,
and depending on the manner in which, or the quality of which you have, or rather, I would say, the way in which you have harmed others, you would want to sabotage yourself. So
hmm,
if I have harmed people in a manner which has been maybe maimed them,
hmm, hmm,
then obviously I will have to maim some aspect of me.
hmm,
I will have to hurt some aspect of me, like a physical body
hmm,
aspect of me,
hmm,
right? A body part of mine.
hmm, hmm,
So this is what happens. We have to understand that whether you are belonging to any community,
hmm,
the reason why you're experiencing pain and hurt is two reasons. One,
hmm,
you have been a persecutor.
hmm,
Second, you are not able to get out of victimhood.
hmm,
You feel that is comfortable.
hmm.
Sometimes being a victim is very comfortable.
Most
There are
of the
many
time.
people, Shivi, there are many people who, women especially, I want to say, they come to me and they will complain about their spouse, their husband to me.
Hmm,
They say that तो ऐसा है ऐसा है ऐसा है ऐसा है. And then they'll say पर मैं कहाँ जाऊंगी.
hmm,
After all, he's taking care of me. After all, he loves me. After all, he buys things for me. So I'll remain a victim. I'll remain in this particular relationship.
hmm,
So either you've had multiple lifetimes as victims, so that energy has grown inside you.
hmm,
So you are unable to shake it off. So there are these reasons why you continue in this, playing roles rather,
hmm,
where you continue feeling victimized either through your physical body or through some emotion,
hmm,
or you're not having children, so there's social stigma,
hmm,
especially in our culture,
hmm,
or there is separation and divorce that's taking place and causing you hurt.
hmm,
Where moment you are hurt, it means you have hurt somebody. You cannot be hurt without hurting anybody else. It's not possible.
hmm, hmm,
That's not how the law
hmm,
works. That's not how the
hmm.
universal law works.
So, have any such people ever come to you for past life regression, wanting to know what made them be born as transgenders or
Yes,
gays or bisexuals or
yes.
some?
Many
Okay.
have come.
So,
They generally pushed by their parents.
okay,
They
okay.
themselves don't want to come.
Hmm,
But I have had some very insightful and interesting experiences with
hmm,
them.
hmm,
And I want to say that in, I won't say in all cases because that's not happening, but in a couple of them, trust me, they were able to reverse it.
hmm,
That was amazing for me. One case that just comes to my mind is of a young girl
hmm,
um, who had been sent by her parents actually because they wanted her to get married and all that, and she obviously didn't want to get married.
hmm,
And I remember when she entered my clinic, her walk.
hmm,
I noticed that she didn't have earrings.
hmm,
Um, she had worn jeans and a shirt, cut her hair short, and she spoke about the fact that she's okay with who she is. Her
hmm,
parents are not okay, and so she's come for a session.
hmm,
I can't recall the session, of course, but after the session, she felt much better. And she said, do you think it's going to help me? I said, do you
hmm,
want to be helped?
hmm,
The fact that you've asked me this question indicates that somewhere deep down you want to be helped, or you feel that, yes, I don't want to experience this altered sexuality.
Mm.
So she left.
Mm.
2 months later, her mother called me up,
Mm.
and she was smiling, maybe on the phone, because I could sense that she was smiling.
Yes.
And she said that I have to share something with you.
Mm.
मुझे आपको थैंक यू कहना है. मैंने कहा क्या हुआ? So she said कि अभी वो घर पे है. मैंने she is not on her job, so she was helping me to cook in the
Mm.
kitchen. And she said I noticed that जिस तरह से वो सब्जी डाल रही थी,
Mm.
पहले जैसे वो ऐसे डालती थी, अभी वो बड़े नाजुक तरीके से डाल रही है. मैंने कहा चलो अच्छी बात है. The girl had also got her ears pierced.
Okay. Wow.
And her mother had got, instead of kurta, she had got kurtis.
Mm.
And the girl was wearing it.
Okay.
And so she was very happy with this change,
Change.
in her. So she said मैं चाहती हूँ कि वो एक और सेशन करे आपके साथ. मैंने कहा 2-3 महीने के बाद कहिए उसको, when she comes to Bombay, and देखते हैं.
जी.
So 3 months later, the girl called up and said I want to come.
Okay.
Okay, so she came for her session, second session. Post that, she gave me a call, which was very interesting. She said that I went to a pub, rather a discotheque, with some of her girlfriends. And, when she was standing at the bar, she was surprised that a guy approached her and asked her to dance. She said it has never happened in my life ever till now. So was I exuding or radiating some other kind of energy for a guy to come and approach me? So I said, maybe. So, change can happen. But like I said, it has to come from the client. The client has to be wanting to create a shift. So maybe the soul of this person was at that tipping point, where she wanted to experience being a woman in love with a man rather than a woman in love with another woman. That's all.
That's a paradigm shift in a person's
Yes. Yes.
thinking or the way she feels. Because now what is being promoted is that it's not an anomaly. Being a gay or a bisexual or a transgender, it's not an anomaly. It's okay. It's part of nature. And so people should stop judging and start accepting such people for who they are, which is, I think it's perfectly fine, and we must do it. We must not really discriminate against anybody. But it's also very interesting to note what you just shared, that the souls like these have some kind of a deep conditioning which they're carrying, and which they don't want to let go, and they want to experience something like this, where they might feel like a man from within, but they are in a female body, and they kind of repelling against it, and then a shift happens and they are perfectly fine. So this entire human experience is so mutable, and there's nothing fixed about who we are. And the only way to facilitate these changes is to first start accepting such people and stop condemning them. Because the more we condemn them, the more they start clinging very strongly to this identity, and perhaps
But there is
really
nothing to
challenges.
condemn.
Yeah, that's what.
Do we kind of condemn a dog? Do we condemn
Yes,
an ant?
yes,
Do we
yes,
condemn a
yes.
plant? Do we
Yeah.
condemn a
Ah.
flower? So
Ah.
we are different
This stigma which is attached to them, there's a great movement going on to remove it, and to make human beings more accepting of others of their ilk. So I think it's a very a positive change in people's mind, which should lead to a more egalitarian world where we have space for everybody.
Like I said, Shivi, past life therapy is a therapy which creates a paradigm shift in the mind of the therapist, in the mind of the client, in the mind of the client's parents, relatives, because there is nothing fixed.
Yes,
We
there's
are
nothing
not
is.
fixed human beings. We are here for a temporary existence, and we can have any kind of existence. So why judge anybody for anything for that
Any,
matter? in your
Any,
color of the skin, or your age, or whatever. It does not matter. It's very a short
okay.
time that we are here.
Okay. So, great. Dr. Jain, we also hear about things like future life progression.
Yeah,
So, how true it is? Because according to me, your future is created in the now. How you decide to play your life in the current lifetime, what kind of
yeah,
decisions and choices you make will determine your future life.
yeah.
So, how far is this valid of this future life progression, where you kind of go in a trance to see that what you're going to be in future, if you take a certain path, or you continue to walk the path you are walking right now? Is it like is it a fantasy or is it a reality? I'm always perplexed about
I
this.
I think that if we can just make our present better, it
Yes.
would be good enough.
Uh,
Because future life progression, well, suppose you see that in the future life you're going to be a great monk.
mm,
What have you done so far? And like I told you, it's very difficult for people to integrate experiences.
mm,
So even if I see my future life as a great monk, I am nowhere close to that.
mm,
So what am I going to do about it? Maybe I'll be just happy. Chalo, या future life में I'll be a monk. अभी
mm,
मुझे जो करना है मैं let me enjoy myself.
mm. Okay.
So it's not. I don't think it's required. Is the
Mm,
first thing. You
mm,
don't do things which are not going to give you insight of your current lifetime,
mm,
because it is now
mm,
that I can create a future. How do I see? I'm not able to first of all understand how do I see a future life
mm.
when my
Correct.
now is not in that space.
Mm, mm.
Right? So, according to me, maybe I don't know. I don't do future life progression, Shivi,
Okay. Yes.
because I believe that the power is important. The important thing is to get people to understand their past, understand their karmic loops that they are in, understand how to improve their karmic transactions with the human beings around them, and to create a better future in your current lifetime.
Mm,
Because moment till the end of this life, if
mm,
you can be close to that monk that you're going to be in the future, good enough.
mm,
But it's very important to understand that there is what we call sanchit karma, the accumulated karma,
mm,
which is a big ocean.
mm,
So you may see a future lifetime, let's say after you die in this lifetime, it may not be your immediate future lifetime. It may be some future lifetime
mm,
that you may experience. So how do you know it's going to be the immediate future?
mm,
Because when you die and you get back to your sanchit karma, you may realize
mm,
that, oh my God, this monk lifetime is too far away. Abhi to I have to deal with many other lifetimes.
mm, mm,
So, I don't think it's required to do all this
mm.
future regression, future life regression. And all. I
Mm.
don't, I don't
It
endorse.
was it. Good, good. So, Dr. Jen, also tell us something about that transgenerational healing which you are dabbling currently. What
Uh,
is it about, and is it possible for us to not only heal ourselves but also generations to come and the generations before us through if
yeah,
that is what it is about? I'm just kind of presuming. Yeah.
yeah. The transgenerational healing is a fascinating area that
Mm,
a therapist can learn and understand.
mm,
As we know, transgenerational means we are dealing with the DNA.
mm, mm,
If you read the DNA reverse, it's and A and D,
mm, mm,
indicating that we have to include everyone who
mm,
is part of your soul script. So the world can only function if we are coming from an inclusive space. But the problem is that we are excluding everybody. इसको हटाओ इसको हटाओ है ना. So in
mm,
transgenerational healing we
mm,
understand how we are our own ancestor.
mm,
If I have a problem and it is coming from my ancestral tree, it could be coming from an ancestor who is me. So this is very interesting to understand. It's
mm,
not somebody else who is my ancestor and that ancestor is causing me grief. It is I who is an ancestor, my own ancestor. So if I have been, let's say, an aunt who passed away in the third or the fourth generation,
Mm.
and I'm born again. And I did something there
Mm.
which is affecting me only. So when you do transgenerational healing, you actually realize that you are in this family tree, and
Mm.
you are somebody who was in this family generations ago also. And you have done something which is harming you today. Not somebody else is not harming me.
Mm.
So this is how the connectivity of your soul tribe starts getting understood by you.
Mm.
So I can share my own experience of
Please
transgenerational
do.
healing.
Looking forward to listen.
Yes. So in my family, my paternal side,
Mm.
my uncles, so my father's two brothers, my father's two cousin brothers, and maybe others also, um, had what we call closed angle glaucoma. So glaucoma, as you know, is an eye condition where
Mm.
people go blind. There are two kinds of glaucoma: open angle glaucoma and closed angle glaucoma. Closed angle glaucoma is more serious, and open angle glaucoma is more serious. In closed angle glaucoma, you can put eye drops and you can, I mean, you don't need to go blind basically. But this is the history of my family. Now, suddenly in 2015, I was diagnosed with glaucoma. Now, I was surprised because nobody in the family, except one female, who was my father's bua aunt, who was a child widow, went blind. Nobody else. So now I know that I can be my own ancestor,
Mm.
correct? And the
Mm.
bua passed away before I was born. So
Mm.
I've
Mm.
never seen her, right? Now, when I did the transgenerational healing, I realized that I was that bua. And this, I didn't know the story. I came to know the story later on, that she was old, about 80 or something. She had gone blind for many, many years, and she had in in a fit of rage cursed some men.
Mm.
Now what I saw was, I was this bua, but I was also an ancestor who had cursed men, because
Yeah.
uh,
Ousted her.
they had ousted me out of my house and stuff like that. And that time I was not blind,
Mm.
but I cursed them that you will be, I mean, you will, be blind, or uh, you will not be able to see the light of the day, kind of stuff. So I realized I am me,
Mm.
I am the aunt,
Mm.
and I am an ancestor. So my soul has traveled through lifetimes in different bodies in the same family, right? And you wouldn't believe it. After this experience, the same eye drops that I was putting for 6 to 8 months,
Mm.
they began to turn my eye red. The doctor was surprised, and then he told me that I better go again for the test. And I went back again for the test. They told me I don't have glaucoma. And during this transgenerational experience, I was crying. I could feel as if the energy blocks, the
Mm.
hatches
Mm.
had opened, and as if that energy was just leaving me. And with great love
Mm.
and kindness, I
Mm.
forgave all those men.
Mm.
So it's very important. It's a very powerful healing, very, very
Mm.
powerful. But you have to understand it. You
Mm.
have to go with the intention
Mm.
of getting some answers, not just the healing,
Mm.
because it's not that transgenerational healing heals everybody, by the way. You have to be ready to receive that,
Mm.
because receiving is very important, Shivi.
Mm.
Most people, they don't receive healing.
Mm.
Like they say, if you're giving healing to somebody, the person has to receive it, right?
Mm.
Similarly, when something as deep as this is done, you have to
Mm.
receive, you have to receive that healing, just very powerful. I mean, I know this because I know what happened to me. So
Mm.
I know how powerful it was. It was just one session.
Okay. So is it possible to escape your family karma? For example, there is a family. Okay. And there are people inside who are always at loggerheads and always at each other's throats. And there's a war going on inside a particular extended family. And there's one person who's trying to heal or heal himself or grow spiritually himself or herself, and they are also trying to resolve these issues within the family. They are trying to heal others, also introduce them to spiritual work so that they can also grow, but it's not cutting any ice with other family members. So in such a case, is it possible for that person to stay unaffected from the drama which is happening inside the family, or today or tomorrow in the future he or she would also be drawn into that family drama, no matter how much she has or he has worked on herself? So what is going to play out eventually if you see that one person is trying very hard to evolve, but the extended family is just not waking up to it, and then we don't see any light at the end of the tunnel in a case like this?
See, I can only tell you that the path of spirituality is a lonely one.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if there is a person in a family which is a lot of feud is happening in the family,
Hmm.
arguments and stuff
Hmm.
like that,
Hmm.
this person who is following the path of spirituality will have to focus on his or her path.
Hmm.
It does not matter what others are doing.
Hmm.
You will have to learn to walk alone. It's a difficult path.
Hmm.
It's not easy, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's a story of Lord Buddha, if I
Hmm.
may say that, when he was leaving the palace in the middle of the night,
Hmm.
he went to his wife's chamber,
Hmm.
stood outside the wife's chamber, looked inside, saw his wife and his child, who was just, I think, a day old,
Hmm.
sleeping.
Hmm.
And he wanted to tell her that, I'm leaving.
Hmm.
For a second, split second, it is said that the Lord had an insight. And he said, if I enter and tell my wife, she will give me reasons why not to leave. But if I don't leave, then I will not be true to myself. And that's how he left in the middle of the night. So we have to understand, that the path that we have taken, which is towards the divine, not that we're going to reach the divine in this lifetime, but we have begun this journey.
Hmm.
Healers, spiritual seekers, right? Now you will have many people who will pull you down.
Hmm.
They will push you, they will pull you, they will tell you a lot of reasons why that is not the path you should take. But you have to stand firm.
Hmm.
You have to stand firm. There is no other way, or you will give in.
Okay. So
So,
another question that's coming to my mind is related to curses, which you just said. You just shared that there was an ancestor who had cursed the male members of her family. Now, when we look at our scriptures or the folklore, so it is full of stories related to curses, and it used to be mostly very ascended masters which used to curse those wrongdoers. कि तुम्हारा तुम्हारा ये सांप का जन्म हो जाएगा, तुम even those figures like Ravan and other demonic figures are considered as cursed beings, which were cursed by those Sanat Kumaras or seven
yeah,
Saptarshis, that
Saptarishi,
you people,
Sanat
yeah,
Kumara.
people, you have grown very arrogant, and therefore you are condemned to live the life of a demon. So, and then we see that their life stories actually play out according to the curse that was given to them, and then eventually they find their salvation when the divine himself comes down and kind of kills them, and then they go to that dham. So here the curse is playing a very meaningful role
Yeah,
in a person's life. Whereas now listening to you, it feels that all of us have the capacity to curse others and eventually reap the consequences of the same curses which we put on others. So does it mean that not everybody is qualified to curse, and we should not be, because it's eventually for you to be to stay unscathed from your own say anger? It is very important that you give it, like, we as human beings should not even do it in the first place, or it's only very very qualified beings who can do it in such a way so that it eventually brings out good and doesn't harm people. Because
See,
otherwise, even these curses should come back to those rishis also. That is the cycle of life. they दुर्वासा ऋषि को कभी हमने नहीं सुना कि वो बेचारे परेशान हो गए कि ठीक है मैंने इसको उसको कर्ज किया था और अब बेचारा खुद उसका consequences reap कर रहा हूँ.
Shivi, that divine tattva is also in us only, no?
Correct.
So when I, in my ancestral space, when I curse somebody, right, that divine tattva in me must have told me that, okay, you've done this, but you will have to, are you ready to suffer the consequences? Right? Obviously, right? So that divine rishi must have told me that, are you ready to suffer the consequences? So I must have said yes. So I must have said that, can I get out of it in some way? So he may have told me, yes, you'll have to do some kind of penance, tapas, right? So we all are here only to do penance, by the way. Our life that we have taken as a human being is to do penance for all the nonsensical karmic stuff that we have done. If you receive and accept the penance and do it, good for you. If you don't, then good for you. I mean, you'll have to go on and live many more lives. So the awareness part comes in here, Shivi. So as I become more aware, right, I will start changing my behavior. I will start changing my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings. I will learn to become more inclusive. I will learn to drop judgment. Yeah, I will learn all this, right, during this journey. So a curse is not something that you should be scared of. That is also serving a great purpose in your life. It is making you understand the negative, and it is drawing you towards the positive, no? Correct? Because that's the purpose of life. If I am sick, I go to a doctor and I heal myself. Similarly, the curse is like a sickness that is being bestowed on me. So, what do I have to do? I have to go to a doctor to heal myself. And the doctor is me only.
Okay.
Because if I'm the ancestor, I will have to heal myself.
But is it also important for the one who's being cursed to be in that state of accepting that energy? Because if for he or she does not believe that its curse is going to affect me, I don't think it will play out like that. If you get scared and you believe that, oh really, this curse will eventually come to pass, it will happen to me, it will play out. And if you feel that it's all useless and it's not going to affect me, it will not have any effect, is it?
So, Shivi, this is where I want to say that what I can only talk from my experience, right, with my clients and my patients and myself. So I know one thing, that it is I who is creating this life. And it is I who is creating the contracts with people in this life. It is I who is going to foster the relationship with the divine element also. So it is I. I mane the big I, okay, not the small I, the ego. It is this I who is realizing that, okay, I'm in this physical body, and what do I have to do here? I better start doing it now. Because otherwise, I'm going to carry this forward. That understanding and realization I have to have. Otherwise, this life is a waste, Shivi. It's a complete waste. Now, I want to bring this thing here because you said this about the if I am only cursing myself, then obviously the power is in me to get out of that also. Right? Now, there are a lot of people who are in a habit of blaming others. मेरे साथ ये problem हो रही है because so and so has done some black magic on me. And so because of that person, I'm suffering. She has cursed me. Right? Now, the thing is, if somebody has cursed you, you have attracted that towards you, right? Like attracts like. So there must be something in you that has attracted this curse energy towards you. So what do you have to do now? What do you have to do? You don't have to, keep blaming and criticizing and doing all this and doing some havan to take that, let that person suffer and not you. Because if the premise of spirituality is inclusion, then I will have to include that person in the gambit of my love. Now, these are all difficult things. It's not easy to do all this, okay? It's very easy to say, oh, I'm going to love everybody and then affirm, tap, tap, tap. I love the whole world, I love everybody. It's very easy to do that. But do you really, from your core, understand the philosophy of inclusion? Then only can you. This is something that I tell a lot of my clients, that, okay, that person is making you suffer. Because of him, I'm having losses in my business. Okay. Now you have a lot of money. So I tell that person, okay, you have the ability to earn money? He said, yes. I said, okay. Can you give 30% of your ability to earn money to this person who is cursing you? Can you provide 30% of your ability? Can you gift it in your prayer to this person? That person said, if I give him 30% of my ability, तो फिर मैं तो मैं खाली हो जाऊंगा. आपके पास 70% ability है ना, उससे आप काम करिए. The problem is fear. Human beings are very fearful, Shivi. We say that we are generous and kind and giving and we are able to give love. अरे love नहीं चाहिए, उस आदमी को तो success चाहिए, उस आदमी को आपकी skill चाहिए. आप क्या वो दे सकते हैं? No, they cannot. So it's very easy to say, I want to evolve spiritually. Evolving spiritually means to die empty, empty of everything. What you have collected in this lifetime, can you do that? Can you give away 100% of your kindness to somebody? Can you give away 100% of your success and fame to somebody? You won't, you can't. This is the problem. The problem is not all this. The problem is that as human beings, we do not want to give away anything to anybody because we believe we are separate from the other person. Moment this philosophy of coming together, we are one. सब लोग बोलते हैं oneness, है ना? We are one, we are one, we are one. Aham, Brahmasmi and all that. But are you believing that? No. 10% of your fame, will you gift it to somebody who does not have any? You say, no, no, no. Because we are so fearful. These are not easy things to do. They're very difficult to do. So the path of spirituality is very tough. It's not easy. You have to, first of all, understand the philosophy. Then you have to walk on it. Then you have to suffer also. You have to suffer. Suffering is a step to salvation. So suffer. Are you willing to suffer? Because you have to. You will.
You will. That's beautiful. I think that's very profound of what you just said, Dr. Jain. There's one last question which is there on my mind. As a therapist, as a healer, as a psychologist, you get to listen to a lot of distressing things from people, very deep and dark secrets, which perhaps they might not be comfortable themselves being privy to knowing it or even facing it. And then they come and they offload everything before you. It's not easy for anybody to stay with this kind of experience and be sane, because the experiences are diverse and they can be very, very painful. So how do you manage your sanity, how do you keep your balance, your cool and calm, despite the kind of work that you do?
Like I said, the path of spirituality is tough. And second, I've realized over the years that I have my own story, which I'm living. And that story, maybe I'm towards the end of it. I have a few more chapters to go. And those are their stories. They have nothing to do with me. Yeah, they're part of my stories because obviously I've learned so much from them. I can definitely write about them in my book. But their story is not my story. I learned this very early in my life that we all have our own stories. We all have the beginning, middle, and end of our story that we have to manage. So do not get influenced by other people's stories. So when somebody comes to see me, there's a physical distance. obviously. And you also create a mental distance from them, because there is something in psychology which we call transference and counter-transference. So we know that we do not have to transfer and counter-transfer with our client, right? And the moment I walk out of my room, I leave behind that story. I never carry it with me ever. I've never done that in my life, because I've understood that that does not belong to me. I've learned something. The learning I have taken, but not the life. So I have to be very, very. I have to understand. It's all about understanding, Shivi, and implementing.
So, when can we expect to see your new book in the market based on all the
I am.
diverse experiences and
I'm
learning?
waiting. I'm waiting to send it to a
Publisher.
publishing house.
Okay, so it's already written. Great.
Yes, it's already written 355 pages,
Mhm.
and I'm waiting to get into a like approach a publishing house maybe, because uh, you know what happens, Shivi, is that when you when you write a book and you reread the book, that is a horrible thing to do. So when you reread the book again, or you read the chapter again, फिर कुछ और डाल देते हो. So that's the dangerous part, I think, of writing a book. So yeah, the book is ready. Everything is ready. The cover is also ready. Uh,
Lovely.
cover has been designed by one of my students, Niharika. Beautiful cover, exactly what I wanted. She's thought of it and she's given it to me. And but now I need a publisher. So I should
I'm
approach
sure
Life Positive, I think.
yeah, actually, Life Positive Books division is not functional anymore, but there's so many publishers that I know of. I think that there's Yogi Impressions and there's Zen Books and so many other. So
So I've
you
approached
can
them.
always
I've
we can
approached them.
work out a solution. And Dr. Jain, any publisher who comes to know that book has been authored by you will come rushing to your doorsteps. You don't even need to approach anybody. You simply have to pass on the word, and publishers will make a beeline out of your house because they know that book is going to be a bestseller. We know that there's no doubt about it. So publishing is not something which you need to actually worry about, and I'm sure even you know about this. So thank you so much, Dr. Jain. It was wonderful talking to you. You have amassed so many pearls of wisdom from your life experiences. Everybody has so much to learn from you. And I'm very grateful to have interviewed you today, to have listened to you today, to have learned so much from you today. And so have all the viewers tonight of this show. Thank you so much for being
Thank
there.
you so much, Shivi. I wish
Thank
you
you
all the
so
best.
much. Looking forward to reading your book.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.